Dan Buettner trabalhou com a National Geographic e um dos projetos que ele fez foi o Blue Zones. Ele é autor do best-seller da New York. Ele tem uma característica, tem um TED Talk com mais de 3 milhões de views falando sobre esse tema que ele vai falar aqui pra gente. E tem uma curiosidade que ele tem 3 recordes mundiais de bicicleta, de ter ido do Alasca, Argentina, na África. Ele já fez 3 voltas importantes aí, então ele, além de tudo ele faz essas aventuras e acaba registrando essas aventuras. E uma parte importante do trabalho dele com a National Geographic foi acerca das Blue Zones, que de uma forma muito elegante e complementar a tudo que a gente ouviu, mostram esses 5 pilares refletidos em algumas comunidades do mundo. Então eu queria pedir para a gente saudar Dan Buettner.
Much. I did indeed ride my bicycle from Alaska to Argentina, but those of you who know the shape of the globe know very well it was all downhill. So I'm a big believer that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So we're going to start off this afternoon by estimating each and every one of your life expectancy. How long are you going to live? And in order for me to do that, I need to ask you 8 questions. And your job is to raise your hand if the question applies to you. And number 2, count how many times you raise your hand. So 8 questions. Ready? First question. Raise your hand if you get at least 7.5 hours of sleep most nights. At least 7.5 hours of sleep most nights. Raise your hand if you move at least 45 minutes a day. And that could be running or in the gym or playing tennis or walking. Raise your hand if you eat at least 3 honest servings of vegetables every day, and French fries and ketchup do not count. 3 honest servings. All right, pretty good, 50% of you. Raise your hand if you have not, and I underscore not, had unprotected sex with a stranger. I said not. I love you, Brazilians. Okay, raise your hand. This will be an easy one for you guys. Raise your hand if you have at least 3 good friends who, number 1, you can count on them on a bad day. Number 2, that you can have a meaningful conversation. And number 3, you actually like them. Okay, 3, there we go. Raise your hand if you belong to a faith-based community. In other words, do you go to church? Raise your hand if you go to church and you show up at least 4 times a month. Okay, a few of you. Easy question. Raise your hand if you have not smoked in 5 years. Not smoked in 5 years. There we go. And finally, raise your hand if you have the physical ability and the desire to reach age 90. At least age 90. Physical ability and the desire to meet 90. Most of you. That last question is actually the best predictor of how long you're going to live. So, did you count how many times you raised your hand? For those of you who raised your hand at least twice, if you're a man, your life expectancy is 68, and if you're a woman, it's 73. If you raise your hand at least 5 times and you're a man, life expectancy is 78. If you're a woman, it's 82. And if you raised your hand at least 7 times and you're a man, life expectancy is 89, and if you're a woman, it's 93. Something called the Danish twin study established that only about 20% of how long the average person lives is dictated by genes. There might be another 10% dictated by medical technology, but about 70%, the lion's share of how long most of us are going to live is dictated by our lifestyle and our environment. They didn't join a gym or buy a treadmill or be mindful. In fact, in none of these places did these people even really know how they got to live so long. I believe there are strong lessons from the Blue Zone. First of all, it's knowing your sense of purpose. And I think it's more the Okinawan sense of purpose, this ikigai, where you know your values, you know what you like to do, what your skills are, and you give back. And being clear on that, like you see in all the blue zones, it makes it a lot easier to eat the right foods. I call it eat wisely. And it's indisputable as far as I'm concerned, or Harvard will back me up on this, Dean Ornish, eating a plant-based diet. If you're eating more than about 1 serving of meat per day, your chances of diabetes, heart disease, and many types of cancer about triple. Setting up your tribe, curating that group of 5 or 6 people who you can count on a bad day. And you want those people to be, for the most part, vegetarian. If your 3 best friends kill a cow and barbecue it, you're probably not going to eat plants when you go over and see them. Friends whose idea of recreation is physical activity, friends who are engaged, and then friends you can count on. And then finally, moving naturally. Deconveniencing your home, doing things that are fun because you'll do them for the long run, and then having an active commute. Just the act of taking the bus to work lowers your chance of cardiovascular disease by about 11%, and owning a dog. If you own a dog, the dog needs to get walked every day, therefore the human gets walked every day, and your chance of obesity drops by about 50%. And then paying attention where you live. This can mean as much as 13 years off of your life expectancy or to your life expectancy, depending your social economic class. Living in a place where fruits and vegetables are easier to get, a place where it's easy to get around on foot, that can raise the physical activity level of an entire area by 30%. It's clean, and you bump into your friends. What blue zones teach us is there's not a pill, there's not a hormone, there's not a genetic intervention that promises us to help us live longer. But if you set up your life with the right habits, if you curate your surroundings, the average person could live about 10 years longer than we're living right now. And more importantly, this quest for longevity also delivers a more engaged, a more socially rich, and a happier life along the way.